welcome to Life Through Her Eyes. I'm one of your hosts, Jackie.
And I'm Debbie.
Welcome back. We're so glad to have you back with us. So, we are coming back with our third part in this racial bias and domestic violence conversation that you and I, Deborah, started a couple episodes ago. And it just was just too much information and too big of topics to really put into one episode. So this is just how we did it. It just happened organically, and this is where we are. So I want to make it a point of something maybe you've noticed on these episodes that we haven't actually talked about, but we started adding missing persons posters to the end of every episode. Deborah, I know me and you, we talked about it, right? Just how important it was for us to have faces out there of what everybody looks like, not just one specific group.
Right.
But
Not just the majority of the population's group, but every individual group that's part of America. At least we're American, we're in America. So specifically the demographics and the statistics that we are talking about are primarily here. We're not yet educated on a global level. We have some statistics from other countries, but as of right now, we only really are focusing locally on this. Obviously, the discussion's open for everyone. We have compassion and concern for everyone everywhere, but that we are finding to be a problem right now. The statistic you said earlier today about how often people in relationships are abused in America, and that's crazy. It's 20 people every 60 seconds. So that's every third second someone is being domestically abused by someone that they love, that's their intimate partner. That's crazy. That's absolutely insane that we live in a world that many people have to fear for their safety. Every third second we are dealing, an American is dealing with that. That's not acceptable. So that's why we're doing this episode, so that we can get the information out there to you all, and so that you all know that we stand here with you if you are a victim of domestic violence. It means a lot to us specifically because we have either physically experienced it, or we have a close family member, whether it be our mothers, our siblings, someone, or friends who have all, especially as women who have experienced it, but men also go through it too. And as we were talking about earlier today, a lot of people don't talk about that at all. And men don't report it more than women who don't report domestic abuse, because what man wants to be like, my woman's beating on me? Because that could be looked at by the police or anyone else as like, you're weak or you're whatever. But if you're taught to be a good man and never put your hands on a woman, but she is not taught to not put her hands on people, what do you do? Do you tell, or do you stay, or do you go? Like, what? It's just, so we have empathy for everyone, but oftentimes, obviously, because we're women and most people around us that talk about it tend to be women as well. So we just really want to shine a light on this issue and let you all know that we have resources, or everywhere has resources that you can go to if you're going through these things, because I know it's special to me, special to Jackie. And since it's so close to us, for me, my parents were the people who I saw the most domestic abuse. My father and mother both physically assaulted each other, sometimes throwing pots of hot food at each other, or hitting each other on the knees with metal canes, or physically punching or slapping each other. It was not a good environment to grow up in as a child, and words usually turn into actions. And I just remember being a child and I was like, I don't ever want to experience this. I don't think that this is love. I told my parents when I was a child, I remember as young as 8, you guys should get divorced, because if this is what you think love is, you're very mistaken. And if you're trying to do this for me and my brother, don't, because this is not helping us. We will be happy and love you just the same in 2 different households. And so that because I want to see a happy mom and a happy dad. And if those are in 2 separate places, I'm fine with sharing my time with you all, because you all together make me feel unsafe. And I don't feel even comfortable bringing people over, because the energy you remember as a child staying the night at my house. And as funny as some of the situations were where were around their fights, the reality is at any given time, my parents were going to erupt in some sort of argument that was going to eventually turn into a physical altercation, and the cops may or may not get involved. And I remember as young as 4 having to call the cops on my dad because of a physical altercation that they had. And that killed me, because my dad was my best friend. I was obviously close to my mom too, but me and my dad, even till his death, were like this. We talked about everything. We were very close. And in his situation, he was an alcoholic and a war veteran. So he had a lot of trauma and his own ways of dealing with trauma and using drugs as well. So he did whatever he could to get those memories out of his head and try to deal with it. So, I mean, I have empathy for what he went through, but also it was a hard childhood. And I just remember being like, I will never be in a relationship with someone who puts their hands on me. If I even feel like they make me unsafe, I have to find an exit before
Yeah.
it's too late.
Hmm.
And I've had so many friends go through this, and I'm thankful that I have never had anyone put their hands on me or do those things,
Right.
because I think I'm just hyper aware of signs that people will give you that they're aggressive. And the moment I notice you're aggressive, I'm like, oh, nope, because that could lead to this. And
Right.
I never
From
want
your
that,
history, you've seen that
Right.
to go
And
that way. So you are quickly to nope, red flag.
Yeah, and that's my number one red
Hmm.
flag that I will not compromise on. I
Yeah.
can be head over heels in love with someone, and if they one night in a drunken whatever hit me, I will never be with them again. There's no I forgive you, no any of that. Because that one time will turn into two, three, four, five, and then maybe I'm their prisoner for the rest of my life. And I will not tolerate that. I will not, and I empathize for people who did, like my mom, and all the years that she went through abuse, and even my father. Both of them, I empathized for them, and I wanted them both to be safe and both to be happy. And like I said earlier, it's not just a one sided thing, men beating women. My mom hit him in the knee, his bad knee, with a cane when he already had a shattered kneecap because she was angry with him. I can't imagine having an aluminum cane smack me in an injured area of my body. Both of them were abusive. But again, did my dad ever call the cops on her and say, hey, she hit me with this cane, put her in jail? Absolutely not. It was always the other way because, again, to your point earlier, that when we were talking, men almost never report abuse from women. So
Well,
I know you've had specific experiences in your life that you've either seen or have experienced yourself. Are you comfortable with sharing any of it?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. First, I want to start off with saying some of the words you use in the things where you look back and explaining, you can tell that that is proof right there as well, the effects that it has on a child of
Right.
being in a home with domestic violence. You necessarily weren't the one having it done to you, but you were still a victim. That's the word
Right.
you used earlier, and it's unfortunately children in the home when there's domestic violence, they're victims too of that, even if they're not
Right.
receiving the physicalness of that abuse.
Right.
They in turn become victims as well, and
Right.
there's so many ways that can go. Right, in your adult life, you can either fall into the same habits, end up being with the
Mhm.
same people because that's what's
Right.
familiar. So that's a generational cycle,
Or
right?
you love that way because that's how your parents or whomever your mom was
Or
partnered with
you
generally.
you don't know any better.
Right.
Don't
Yeah.
know any better. And
I mean, and a lot of times with
there's
abusers, they're manipulative too. They make it feel
mhm,
like it's your fault for the
and
reason like, I have to do this to you, almost like a parent-child dynamic. I am the parent, you are the naughty child. When you do something I don't like, you have to have a consequence to your
mhm,
actions.
mhm,
So they become the parent in it, which in any relationship, you should never want a parent-child dynamic with a lover situation,
absolutely.
because that in and of itself kills the sexual intimacy of that relationship, because generally no human should want to have a desire to have sex with their parent. So
Absolutely. That's
so that
absolutely.
in and of itself should be like a huge red flag and an alarm bell going off in your head if somebody starts treating you like they are your authority. That should be the first sign to be like, oh, this could get abusive, because that's already a form of abuse,
Mm-hmm.
trying to make me feel like I'm less than you and
Yeah.
that you somehow are the only one smart and capable in the situation of leading and doing everything.
Well, and just like you said, there's a lot of
Yeah,
signs, and different people see different signs, and different people exude different signs.
absolutely.
I think a lot of it comes with the path of that because there's a cycle,
Yeah,
right? There's the, well, he didn't hit me. I'm saying the he because this is from Life Through Her Eyes. It's the monologue inside my head, right? So, well, he didn't actually like hit me. It was shoving or choking or it was like restraining to
grabbing really
like
hard and
I'm just trying to leave. and they're standing in front of doors. They're like shutting me in a room so I can't leave, right? Restrictive things that do escalate to other things. But that's the thing, it escalates. So it's at first, well, they didn't hit me. And then it's like, well, they didn't hit me in the face. And you're always finding yourself making excuses and diminishing the things that they're doing. And there's a lot of different ways. There's obviously the physical violence, there's emotional abuse, verbal abuse. It just comes in all the ways. And what I don't think a lot of people understand until they're actually in it is no matter the abuse that's coming, there's elements of that emotional abuse that sit really deep. You start to believe, I don't deserve any better. Who would want me now? I'm broken. I'm damaged. This right here is a lot, and nobody can deal with the aftermath of this. And, or I'm just not worth any better than this kind of treatment. And this is what is always going to happen to me. You know, they really like get in your head.
And oftentimes they're telling you this stuff. It's not even things you are just coming up with
Absolutely.
on your own. They're just like breaking you
Yeah.
down constantly in so many different ways. It's very manipulative.
Absolutely. I know in my experience, that's how it was. It was ultimatum. It was either we get married or we break up. And it's like, well, I don't want to get married because you beat me
I'm
up.
19.
Like,
Yeah.
you beat me up, and I don't want to marry somebody that beats me up. And
Valid point.
we need to fix this. And they're like, well, that'll come along with it. This is either we're breaking up and we're done, or we get married. And well, I didn't want to be done. I wasn't done. I still loved him. I thought there was hope, right? It's the
Jackie, can you
yes.
remind everyone how old you were when you got married so that they can understand where you're
Yeah,
coming?
absolutely. I was 19 when I got married. My first love, right? I was too young.
Yeah.
I was way too young. I was divorced by the time I was 20. Including the 2 months that it took to get the divorce. I was married for 11 months. And mind you, it happened before we got married. Like I just said,
Yeah.
it happened before. I knew better.
You were pressured into the marriage, like you said. It wasn't you
It
wanted it. It was a
wasn't,
dream wedding. I didn't go to it, and we were best friends.
you had a very
Yeah.
big problem with this person. So
Right, I
to
did.
everyone watching,
Yes,
yes,
this is why he's known as
this
Voldemort.
yes, this is
Because
Voldemort.
I don't
So,
even like to say his name because I was not for it when you were dating him.
yeah,
I wasn't
yeah.
for it, and it was
My
something you
family,
had to go through.
my family wasn't either.
Right.
So to all our viewers and listeners, this was a person everybody in my world told me don't do it.
Don't
Don't
be
do it.
around him.
Don't do it.
We all
I
saw the red flags, but you didn't
yeah.
somehow. Or you saw them and ignored them, I should say. It's not that you didn't see them. You weren't
I
like,
ignored
oh,
them.
this is great treatment. I love to be treated this way. You're just like, no, I love him. So that's the big difference. It's not
Yeah.
that you want to be treated that
Yeah.
way. But again, people who usually are abused, they stay because
Yeah.
of the fact that they believe that they're really madly in love with this person
Yeah.
and they don't want to hurt this person by leaving them because they know that this person needs and loves them, regardless of what their actions always are.
Yeah.
They're for sure of it because,
Oh,
again, they are told.
I made excuses for him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would lie for him of what that bruise or that bruise was, that gash, whatever it was. Absolutely. You make excuses for these people and you don't really see it till you're really, really out the damage that all of it has done. I'm still recognizing things in current today. I mean, this is what, 20 years later?
20
20
years
years
later,
later,
2
and I'm
decades.
still finding the heads of things. Oh, that's a problem from then. That's what that is. That's still lingering trauma. I'm still dealing with it. So, to anybody watching and viewing, don't let that be a deterrent. It means that there's always growth. It
Yeah.
means you can go from that, and there's always something better
More
for
healing to be
you.
had.
Exactly.
And the more healed you are, the more you can help heal other people as well by even you
Absolutely.
sharing this story right now. That's awesome.
Absolutely. And it gets worse. It gets worse and it gets worse. And the amount of people that die at the hands of people that say that they love them. Another statistic we had talked about was in 2014, the American Progress Report had reported that between the years of 2001 and 2012, there were more women killed by their intimate partner with a gun than U.S. troops in Iraq and Afghanistan combined.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. So we literally have a war at home that we are fighting with the people that we love.
Yeah.
Hence us needing better gun control laws.
That part.
Not telling you we cannot have guns, but we just have to have more laws around it and be more restrictive.
It's 100% important. We should have the right to bear arms. We should.
Right.
But we need to be aware that not everybody is mentally stable.
I think you should have a psych evaluation before you get a gun. I think a psychologist should know if you are a danger to yourself or society if you're going to have this weapon. It's one thing to have a clear mind. You're a hunter. You have land, a big property that you want to protect. If anyone intrudes upon it, something like that, I totally understand.
Yeah.
But just having a mental illness or being able to, like in the state of Georgia where I live right now, you can at the age of 18 go purchase a gun with no license, nothing else. You just have to have an ID. There's no permit required, no nothing. So it's like, hey, here's this weapon. Do whatever you want. You don't even have to be trained in it. Just practice, do whatever. And you're putting everyone around in danger by allowing that versus people from the military who have to have all this training to be able to bear arms or anyone else.
It's also one thing to...
You know much more about guns, by the way. Everyone else, Jackie actually knows how to shoot. I've never touched a gun. So just want to let everyone know we are on different sides of it in certain ways.
I've had a little bit of experience, yeah.
She said she's a good shot, so try her.
Surprisingly, I am a good shot. Well, you know, the city girl that had this time in her life where she's in the country and actually got to like shoot guns, and I was shown so by somebody that's very well trained and knows. So it's not like I was just out there like like a ding dong. I was told like these are the rules. This is how you. This is proper. So I think that's a big thing that's important too. But what it is not necessarily that guns kill people, right? It's not saying that. It's even more apparent that people do that, and the wrong people with the right tool, right? That's a weapon and dangerous is not a good combination.
Absolutely.
And that's what's important. I just want to make it very clear to all of our viewers, we are not over here saying, I know, and I'm at least not saying that I don't think people should have the right to protect themselves. Absolutely not saying that, but not everybody needs that.
Even my daughter this year, after her prom party or during her prom party, a teenager shot and killed another student. And she had to walk by this child who was dying in the middle of the parking lot. And that's going to be her memory forever, all because this kid who should have never had this weapon in the first place, who had mental issues, whose parents didn't, you know, protect him, guide him, really care for him much at all. He complained and made comments to my daughter like, hey, you know, nobody or my parents really don't care if I come home at all or when I come home, and that they're not really concerned about his life. And this young boy, in a 2-second decision, essentially just took another kid's life, and now he's in prison probably forever. And might in Georgia, we do the death penalty still. So who knows if he might get the death penalty, all for when he was 18 years old and made a split-second decision against some kid he had beef with. So, and it's so, yeah, I mean, if we had better gun laws, he wouldn't be in prison potentially for life and getting possibly the death penalty. And this other kid and his family wouldn't be mourning the loss of a 17-year-old kid who will never become an adult and have a life or a future, and a family that will never see grandkids and get to watch their child grow up. And
absolutely,
and it's just so sad. So I just feel like, yes, there are times to have guns when we're hunting or practicing shooting or doing whatever like that, or at home protecting our property and our family, or even in our cars if we have one and it's legal in the state to do that. I totally am for that. But we can also have tasers. We can also have pepper spray. We can also have other things.
I want a taser.
Or I heard that there are pepper spray bullets. So there's guns that shoot out pepper spray at a person. So if it hits them, it blows pepper spray. So you don't kill them, but you can deter them and get yourself away. There's lots of ways that we can not take a life and still protect our own and our, you know, so just that's all I'm saying, especially when we're talking about domestic violence or violence at all.
But it is
just
related.
Thinking of other ways.
It is related because just like that, numbers don't lie. Statistics are just Statistics are statistics for a reason. That's hard. That was hard.
Do it again.
The statistics are statistics for a reason.
Yes, ma'am. That is so true. That is so true.
So it is related. It's all correlated because obviously, just like that one showed, how many people are actually that women are killed by intimate partner. I mean, that's a very specific, very
Yeah.
specific
Yeah, that's very
topic.
specific.
Like
Thinking about that specifically said with guns. That's not with
guns.
choking out. That's not with knives.
Or
That's
just
not hitting them
beat
with a
to death.
car. That's not hitting them with a car. That's not being beat to death. That's
Mhm.
not with any other object besides a gun and bullet. The statistic you were talking about versus how many American soldiers were lost in those two wars. Again, that's just bullets. That has nothing
That's
to do with
just
any other
bullets.
form.
That is
So just think of how many other people in wars that we can lump up women into that statistic if we really knew how many women altogether were killed by domestic violence.
Or
I mean,
even
that's
let's expand that to any person that is killed
person.
at the hands of their intimate partner.
Yes, I agree because
Like
there
I
are homosexual experiences too where women and women and men and so
exactly.
you never know. So yeah, absolutely. So there
And
are women who
so
also we know
just
women are also killers too. We're not saying only guys do this because women
exactly.
also have mental disorders and are off
Mhm.
balance and
Absolutely.
make bad
And
decisions. People be
and
people.
it is blanketed. It is not okay. It is
Right.
never okay to put your hands on someone you love. I'm
Right.
sorry, but if someone comes at my kid or if someone comes at someone I love, I might throw hands. But you are
Right.
not my intimate partner.
Right.
Or my
I mean,
friend.
but anyone, I guess
You
that's the
know.
point. Nobody should attack, but I understand self defense. And I also encourage you guys to take self defense classes. I mean, I know
Yes,
Jackie
yes.
and I are going to be looking into that here soon,
Yes.
taking just learning how to ward off attackers, you know, because there are, especially Jackie's not the biggest person ever. She's only 4'10" and I'm 5'4", so I'm not much taller than her. And
Yeah.
so the tinier you are, the more you tend to be a target as well. So,
Broad
but there are
sword.
still with leverage and different types of techniques that you could still throw a person who's 3 times your size over your shoulder or
Jiu-jitsu.
choke them or do certain things with jujitsu or choke them or do different things
Yep.
to be able to protect yourself, even though you're not the biggest person. So I definitely
Absolutely.
encourage everyone to either get specific things like the pepper spray and those things that you brass knuckles, anything to be able to protect yourself, things you can put on keychains, little tasers. There's little ones for keychains that you can just tase someone enough to get away. So
The pepper spray keychain.
the pepper spray. So again, but
Well,
just be
and
careful when you go to airports and stuff because you don't want to
yeah,
get
they'll
trouble.
take that. They take
Yeah,
it.
yeah, you know.
I've had it taken before. I want to point out too the other things at our disposal for help as well. So there's hotlines. It's obviously 911. There's 1-800 1-800-799-SAFE. That's a hotline. It's called thehotline.org. You can also just look online. There's apps. What was that? The Aspire News app. It's
Fire news, yep.
actually for domestic violence resources, but it is disguised as a news app on your phone.
I love that.
Super
Love
cool.
that.
The Circle of Six app, where you program it to specific contacts, and in an emergency, it'll send a text message with one tap to those contacts.
So basically, a text message that you pre-type out, "Hey, I'm in this situation. Please call for help or come to said location." Because I'm hoping they would also have their location on your phone and stuff like that. So on their phone, I should say. But that's really great. I love those resources.
DVIS in Tulsa, Oklahoma is my thanks will always go out to you. And you can get an attorney for free to get a divorce. You can go to a shelter and get help. You can go through the court system and get protective orders and get help. It is not the end. It is not the answer to stay because it won't get better.
It only gets worse.
There is
Sadly.
help, and me and Debbie are both sitting here saying, whoever you are, if you're in a situation, don't stay silent.
Tell somebody.
GTFO!
Right. Again, you can go online and there are a ton of resources if you just Google it, delete your history later in case they're like stalking what you're doing or whatever.
Yep.
And just make sure that you make the decision that you deserve better because you do. We all do. Nobody deserves to be abused. Nobody. You've never done anything to deserve it. I don't care what you've said, you've done, if you cheated, even. I don't care what you did.
Nope.
Nobody deserves to be physically abused, mentally abused, verbally abused. So find a way out, please, because
You are
we want to
loved.
see
You
you.
are
Yes.
worthy.
Yes. All
You're
that.
amazing. Thank you for
We want
joining
to
us. Love
add it.
you. Like and subscribe.
Thank you. Mwah.
Bye.